Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second week of CRW 282. This week, I want you to watch two videos and then do some homework based on the second video. But we'll get there um, in due time. First, I want to look at the question that I told you to read and think about for from Friday of last week. But I really wanted to go into some details on video so that we could really see what you're going to be focusing on for this paper and for any portfolio paper that you write for the final portfolio. Right. So each portfolio reading has a question right up front. So it's got three parts on the paper. It's got a context section, the question itself, and then a notes section. I don't want to talk about the notes too heavily right now. We can talk about some of that as we get closer to the time when you're going to submit a portfolio. So today, I just want to focus on the context and the question. So the context is a paragraph or so that the people who set up the writing proficiency give you to kind of give you a brief overview of what you'll be reading. So it's good to look over it so that you're prepared for the arguments that are going to come up. Note, I had you start with the first reading, Monica Prasad, last week, just because I wanted us to kind of jump into the real ideas that are in it. But it is a good idea to take a good look at what the context is saying. So it says here that the readings are going to be discussing three contemporary situations that a lot of people have beliefs and continue to believe those beliefs in spite of overwhelming factual and scientific data. So note that each one of these situations is a lot different, or is very different, but they are all like united because they are all talking about denialism. So, as you know, the first essay is talking about Saddam Hussein and the 9/11 attacks. The second is talking about climate change. And the third one, which you have not yet read, or I have not had you read, is about vaccinations and their relationship to autism. I had you read the first two only for a good reason. Note that the context tells us that Prasad talks about the fact that having the right information does not cause false beliefs, or having a lack of information does not cause false beliefs, but rather people use motivated reasoning. And that Washington and Hayden, whichever one, talk about the ways that people use psychological, emotional, and behavioral barriers, and then they provide different types of denial arguments that apply to almost all denial movements. Note they quote very specific words, and these are the same words that they use down here in the key terms. Make sure that you're using at least one, but probably more like 2, 3, 4 key terms. You don't always have to use every one, but you're going to want to use some of them. This is a very specifically interesting reading set because it says use denial arguments, but just defining what denial arguments are probably won't be enough. Note that Washington and Hayden have 5 types of denial arguments, and you're going to want to focus more specifically on those types of denial arguments, and as well as the types of motivated reasoning that Prasad uses in your essay. So note they don't talk about vaccinations and autism up here, but when you get down to the question, they ask why and how do people continue to believe that vaccinations cause autism in spite of substantial evidence that their belief is not true. So the question is all about the autism, whereas the context is really all about the first two readings. So that means really that you're using those first two readings to provide you with theory or definitions that will be useful in answering the question about the third reading. So I think any good portfolio or paper would use Prasad and connect it to Spectre, the third reading, and then use Washington and Hayden and connect their articles to Spectre as well. So everything you're doing, you're kind of always going back to that third article about vaccines and the Great Denial. This is a normal type of article or reading set that they might give you for the next writing proficiency. I don't know what the next writing proficiency is going to be about. Nobody will really know until they come out with it late in February, I believe. But I'll let you know when that's happening. So that's all like the notes I have on this particular question. Be sure if you have any questions, just ask them in the question and answer thread, and I will get to them. I will answer them in that thread, but then I might also answer them in future videos so that I can tell everyone my answers to them so they can have a better idea of what I'll be looking for and what the writing proficiency graders are going to be looking for. So that is about it for this question. And let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, just move on to the video on triple entry notes, because that's what you're going to be doing for this week. All right?